Quinnipiac men's soccer begins MAAC gameplay, and the women are on fire, while the ice has been set for hockey to start even stronger at M&T Bank Arena. Plus an exclusive interview with volleyball head coach Kyle Robinson. All this and more on Bobcat Breakdown, starting right now. Welcome to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Seth Fromowitz, along with Breakdown's executive producer, Connor Core, and associate producer, Santino Mayoni. Two very passionate analysts. Gentlemen, how are we?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, Santino's been talking up tonight for quite some time now. I'll let him go into a little bit farther of how long he's been waiting for this day.
Yeah, over the summer, I didn't have Connor's number, so I sent him a DM on Instagram. I said, we have to get on Breakdown going into next semester. We're here. We're ready. Seth, let's get into it.
Love to hear it, guys. Let's get our night underway. Women's volleyball so far has found itself struggling early this season as they have a record of 2-10 after suffering a loss at Fairfield in 3 straight sets. However, they have yet to play a match at home this year in Hamden. We'll go to an exclusive interview with head coach Kyle Robinson and volleyball beat reporter Emily Sweeney ahead of the Bobcats returning to their den.
Thanks, Seth. I'm here with women's volleyball head coach Kyle Robinson. Coach, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So first question, with the first home game being tomorrow, you haven't been home so far in this season. What does that mean? What kind of effect do you think that's going to have on your team to finally get to play at home?
Well, it's huge. You know, I think first it's great to be able to sleep in our own beds the night before competition, and also play in front of our fans. You know, they haven't seen us in weeks and really since last season, so it'll be nice to showcase all the hard work we've been putting in the past few months. And yeah, it's just good to be around our family at home.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think having those fans there means? You know, you've been away, you haven't had any time for the first years especially, and you have a lot of first years playing.
Yeah.
What does it mean to get their families there or have their fans there and experience that for the first time?
Yeah, it's great. Like, you know, we do all this traveling, we have a lot of fun, but it's nice to come home and actually celebrate with the people who support us the most. So to be at home, we do have a lot of families coming into town. It'll be really a comfortable and fun environment for us.
Yeah, definitely. And with that game tomorrow against Marist, what are you expecting from your team and from that matchup?
I expect us to fight, like always. I think we've been doing a great job competing. With a lot of first years, we've got to learn to finish, work through a lot of injuries on the court right now. So we've got a lot of opportunities to come together and really try to figure this thing out so we can turn it around for the season.
Yeah, as you said, you got to get those first years to learn how to finish, and you've had a 2-10 record so far. What's kind of been the message to your team heading into the back half of the season to keep them in it, even though their record isn't exactly the best right now?
Sure, we just have to keep fighting. You know, this is a great year for us actually because everyone goes to the MAAC tournament. We have historically done really well in the MAAC tournament, so we just keep our eyes, you know, focused on the long game, focused on what's important, and that's just getting better each day and preparing to, you know, be dominant in the tournament.
Yeah, and you speak about the tournament. Overall, what are your expectations for this team going into the MAAC tournament, through the MAAC tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say when we're 2-10, but we expect to win the MAAC. That's it. That's why we train as hard as we do. That's why our entire team is committing to the process that we go through. So we're not training for second place. We're training to win the MAAC.
Yeah, and throughout the season, I've talked to you a lot, and you've talked a lot about connections and connections with your team, connections with between the players. What does that mean to your team, being connected to each other, being this family,
It's
especially
everything.
when a lot of them are from so far away?
Sure, it's everything. You know, we can come together and work hard in the gym, but if you don't care for each other and like each other off the court, then we're going to have some gaps, some leaks in the program. This is the first time maybe ever in my career that I've had a team of 12, 13 individuals that get along so well with each other. And I think that's a big part of why we keep fighting through these tough times.
Yeah, definitely. And then what are you thinking you guys need to fix going into this game to try to get that win as you drop the sets to Marist in your last matchup against them?
I'm not sure there's anything to fix. We're playing better and better volleyball each day with each practice, each match. We got to get people healthy. I think that's a big part of what's going on with us right now. And then, like I said, we've got a lot of first years who are learning about what it means to compete at this level. A lot of our international players are used to doing this type of thing in a maybe 9-month period. Now we got to do it in a 3-month period.
Right.
It takes a toll on your body physically, mentally, emotionally at times. So, yeah, we just keep committing to the process and just keep attempting to be better each time we go out.
Yeah, definitely. And with all those international players accumulating to this new environment, how are they doing getting into this new environment? You have a lot of first-year internationals, and how has the communication between the team been with the different languages?
It's been amazing. You know, I think a big part of our success with that is coming in early in the summer, going to summer school, and just having them spend time hanging out with each other. No volleyball, no coaches around. They go to class, and then they spend time, whether it's climbing Sleeping Giant or just hanging out here in the quad. And, you know, slowly but surely they start to come together, right? The languages start to smooth out, and they get more comfortable speaking English. We get more comfortable trying to speak, you know, Brazilian, Turkish, Italian. Yeah, it's been great. It's been a lot of great camaraderie with the team.
Great. Thank you so much for being here, Coach.
Always, Emily.
I'm going to send it back to Seth at the desk.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
After hearing the words of Coach Robinson, do you guys think that this team can turn it around as they finally play at home? Connor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I had a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out the answer to this question, but I think it is yes, but it's definitely going to be difficult to figure out how to turn the season around after, like you said, starting 2-10. You know, they haven't played at home up to this point, which makes it more difficult. Yes, playing at home gives them a little bit of advantage, but not as much of an advantage with this team that they have. But, you know, in this interview you heard here, you know, Kyle Robinson is a lot better of a person than he is even coach. You know, we talked about quite a bit when he said in an interview recently that, quote, "We're going to eventually win championships. I have no doubt in my mind about that. I'm as equally focused connecting to these people as winning championships." You know, that kind of instills confidence in me to show that, you know, he's ready to take this team forward. But obviously with this rough start, it may not have looked like it on paper, but heading into these later parts of the season, I think it's going to be something that they're going to be able to turn around.
Just for clarification, so you think they're going to turn this around? You think
Yes.
Okay. That's just flat out wrong, folks. There's no chance of this team being able to turn it around. It's nothing against the talent of this team, but I just think when you start 2-10, when you're in a situation where you haven't been able to bounce back, you've lost 7 out of your last 8. I believe they're on like a 2 to 3 game losing streak at this moment in time. Regardless of being at home, with the youth and inexperience that's on this team, they have a lot of first years playing. I just don't see this team being able, just because they're at home, I don't think that's going to be the key factor in how they're going to be able to turn it around, because good and great teams, they find a way to win wherever they're playing. It's not about, okay, obviously, yes, playing at home helps. We know that. But good and great teams and consistent teams figure out a way to fight through adversity and win on the road. They haven't been able to do that. There is nothing in this team that will make me think, oh, they're going to turn this around. I'm honestly expecting a loss tomorrow at home against Marist.
Yeah, I don't know what the result of the game is going to be tomorrow, but I'm just going to give you some quick, you know, stats from 6 through 1.
Okay.
You know, 6. They have 6 first years on the team. You know, like you said, the first years heading into the team. You know, they got 5. Their entire team represents 5 different states and 4 different countries throughout this entire world, and it makes it difficult to, you know, kind of talk about making the transition from everywhere they're at to be playing together in one court. You know, they're third from the bottom in the MAAC as of right now. Every game is going to be an uphill climb, and the beauty about sports, teams that are young learn quick and how to play to adapt is a lot more than better at teams. And 2, they have 2 seniors in Nicole Legg and Ariane Diaz who have had to force themselves to become the leaders of that team, and I think it's going to help with Kyle Robinson wanting leaders on the squad, but also exceptional volleyball players as well. And last year they were 1 win away from the MAAC championship berth last season. There's only 1 chance. They lost to the number 2 seed in Ryder as the number 6 seed. So yes, their team has changed quite a bit from last season, but there's always cause for concern to be hopeful about it.
I don't agree, but listen, we'll see what happens going forward.
It'll certainly be interesting as the Bobcats return to home in the future. We'll go to a quick intermission, but don't go away as we'll talk about Quinnipiac's explosive soccer teams and games finally returning to M&T Bank Arena here on Bobcat Breakdown.
adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. For those just joining us, I'm Seth Fromwitz, along with Conacor and Santino Maoni. Last Wednesday, men's soccer began facing MAAC opponents, while the women's team extended their win streak to 4. The women's team beat Siena 7-1 last Wednesday and won at Fairfield on Saturday 3-2. With only 6 games left in the season, what could potentially cause a downfall for this Bobcats team? Connor, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump right to the point. The non-existent midfield that the Quinnipiac Bobcats have had thus far this season has been abysmal and can lead to bigger problems heading down later into the playoffs. You know, assists from the top 7 players come Courtney Chocolate at 9, Rebecca Cook, Paige LaBerge, Kayla Mangachos, Vandervliet, and Scott. And the first person who is not a defender is Ella Gagno, and she has 1 assist on the entire year. Yes, the midfield has been an entirely missed part of the Bobcats' success this season, and moving forward, it needs to be something that needs to be fixed. You know, they have Markayla Baileria, the senior, but the second that she comes out, the team has been completely falling apart, and forcing Courtney Cholka to come into that false 9 position and making sure that, you know, when she gets the ball up there, that the midfielders are fanning out wide and becoming more of the diagonal runs with Paige LaBerge and Rebecca Cook. That's why you see them so many options, crossing opposite sides so many different times. And, you know, moving into a possible solution to fix that midfield, they've kind of played with it a little bit, but Olivia Kudrikov has been kind of coming in off the bench as playing that as center attacking midfield position, where last year she came exclusively off the wing last year and was successful there, but I feel in that possible center attacking mid position that she's been coming in hasn't been successful for the Bobcats so far.
Connor, as the kids our age today say, you're DTMing. You're doing way too much. You're looking into this way too deeply. All you have to look at here is that Quinnipiac is 8-1-1. They were ranked, I believe, what was it, number 3 in the preseason polls and the coaches poll for the MAAC conference. They've beaten the other top 2 teams that were ranked. I believe it was number 1 and 2 in Niagara, and it was Niagara and Fairfield. Both of those teams were ranked in the top 2. Quinnipiac has already beaten both of them. The way Rebecca Cook's been playing, again, a record-breaking season, 16 goals in only 10 games so far. Courtney Chokel, that dynamic duo offensively has been phenomenal. And again, Olivia Scott, Lauren Triglione, the 2 defensive senior leaders on this team, with all of those combinations, along with Sofia Lospinoso's very much improved passing this season. I can understand, yes, the midfield position is the weakest part of this team, yes, but I don't see it, being this aspect of the team that can cause this downfall when, again, they've already beaten the other 2 best teams in the MAAC conference, and they're 8-1-1, the clear best team in this conference so far. I think you're looking a little bit too deeply into it. I don't really see a downfall for this team going forward.
Now, Tino, you're a women's soccer reporter. I'm women's soccer, as am I. Yeah. Yes. So you've been to quite a few games, and if you actually broke down, watched the games, what was happening throughout it, you'll notice that all of the goals have come off of long balls from like Kayla Mangachos or Olivia Scott, and they've just completely bypassed the midfield the entire time.
And what's the record, though?
8-1-1.
And it's worked, so it hasn't been an issue.
But the question is potential downfall. The weakest part of this team is this midfield so far. And yes, Ella Gagno, like I said, has the 1 assist from the midfield so far. But she hasn't been as creative, like when Markayla Bayleri comes out, and she hasn't been able to make those types of plays in that Bayleri has, but that'll come with more experience. So I think you're not looking at this deep enough.
Okay.
As I might be looking at just enough.
All right. Okay. Seth, what do you got next?
Well, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and it'll certainly be interesting as they wrap up their season. But now we'll head to the other side of the pitch. The men's team defeated one of the top 3 teams in the preseason MAAC polls on Saturday against Fairfield 3-2. This week they faced the top 2 teams in Marist and Ryder. If they played the way they did against Fairfield, can this team prove that they should have been ranked number 1 like last season? Santino, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up some preseason rankings. So in the 2022 men's soccer preseason poll, I want to pull this up right here. Number 1 was ranked, number 1, Marist was ranked. Number 2 was Ryder in this preseason coaches poll. Number 3 was Fairfield. Number 4 was Quinnipiac. As we've said, the men's soccer team is coming off a 3-2 win at home against Fairfield. They were ranked number 3 in the preseason coaches poll. Again, they're playing Marist and Ryder. If we look at Ryder, they are 1-6-1 right now this season. They have not played well at all whatsoever. They're 0-1. They're 0-1 in the MAAC so far right now. They haven't looked good this year so far. I would have Quinnipiac beating them, and I think even against Marist, the same thing. I would have them beating Marist. The statistics prove it. Marist has scored 13 total goals. Quinnipiac has scored 28. Marist averages 1.44 goals per game. Quinnipiac averages 2.8. Quinnipiac 30 assists. Marist only 8. Quinnipiac moves the ball better. They put up more points. Overall, I see Quinnipiac winning both of these games, and like the women's team, proving they're still the best team in the MAAC conference.
Yeah, Tino, after having that fiery debate about women's soccer, I guess we kind of forced ourselves to come back a little bit, because I do agree with you. I feel like this team can get back to form for the exact same reason that you mentioned. 14 of the 27 players from the abbreviated season in 2020 and 2021, when they went to the MAAC championship, eventually lost to the Monmouth Hawks in the championship game. A lot of rules have changed since then, but they've learned from that experience that they had in that abbreviated season. Obviously, this past fall was not what they anticipated after, like you said, being ranked number 1 in last year's poll. But young players have made their mark on this team so far. 100%. 2 of their top 3 players in minutes, they're both first years. Yep. Alexander Sterngard and João Pinto have been playing extremely well in that back formation, and have even relied on the first-year goalkeeper, Carl Wetzel, to step in and not take the place, but has been playing more exceptionally well than Matt Pisani so far. And that mix of experienced players and the young talent that they've had is going to allow them to gel this far. And like I said, I feel like you can see them by the time come postseason, that you'll be able to see them at like the 1, 2, at the very most number 3 spot.
I agree. Real quick, I want to give some stats about Ryder. Again, Ryder has been shut out 4 times in their first 8 games this year. Again, only 6 total goals for them. They average less than a goal per game. They score 0.75 goals per game, only 6 assists. The stats favor both Quinnipiac in both of these matchups. We agree here, finally, Quinnipiac is going to win both of these games, in my opinion. No question about it.
Bit of a friendly one here, and mind you, Quinnipiac was number 4 in the preseason rankings, so it's not like they're a bit of a joke coming into this one.
100%.
But this time we'll head up to York Hill as Quinnipiac Hockey played their first games at the newly renamed M&T Bank Arena. At the time, nationally ranked 7th women's team started the action on Friday night with a 5-0 win over Boston College, followed by a 3-0 win against New Hampshire on Sunday. We'll start with Connor with this one. Are we surprised that this team could shut out Boston College?
I'm going to say yes, I was surprised. Excuse me. Let me rephrase what I was about to say. No, I wasn't surprised that they shut them out. It was inevitable that they were going to beat Boston College. Yes, the history showed that they were 18-4-4 in previous matchups coming into this, but when Boston College was in their defensive zone, trying to get the ball out of the puck into the neutral zone, into the offensive zone, for every one Boston College defenseman, it seemed like there was always 2 or maybe even 3 Quinnipiac offensemen trying to get the puck off there and score goals again. The first line did not score a single goal in the entire game. The middle 6, which is the second and third line, scored all 5 goals for the game. And I'd be remiss right now if I didn't mention that the first year, Madison Chandler had a hat trick in her home opener the entire game, named ECAC Rookie of the Week today. And this team has a lot of depth. Their top their top 9 of 10 goal scorers from last year are returning, and their top 8 of their last 10 leaders in assists are returning as well. And not to mention, 5 of their 7 returning players have a plus 20 ice rating. This team is primed and ready coming off of last season, moving into this season to even go farther into the NCAA tournament that they were. They were 1 goal away from going to a Frozen Four appearance. They lost to Ohio State, which we won the national championship. So having all this experience coming back and being mindful, they also have 2 defensemen that are on injury right now, haven't played. They're also coming back fairly soon. So this just proves that the women's hockey team is on the rise, and they won't be falling off anytime soon, especially with the amount of first years that they have been producing extremely well for the Bobcats so far.
I don't disagree with you about everything that you said about the team. It's not like they're not talented. It's not like they can't produce. I was just surprised that a Boston College team who at the time they both played each other, Quinnipiac was the number 8 ranked team and Boston College was 15. From 2 top 15 ranked teams, I would have expected a little bit more fight from Boston College because I was at this game. I watched the entire thing. The puck never seemed to leave Boston College, like the side where Boston College, where their goalie was. The puck was never leaving. The puck never left their side. They couldn't get the puck onto Quinnipiac's side of the ice. Overall, they just didn't seem like they had any fight in that game. So I wasn't surprised by the victory. What I was surprised by was the 5-0, and of course, the freshman that puts up a hat trick, that was not something I expected at all. So again, overall, I was surprised by it. Quinnipiac, a very talented team. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I was not surprised by any means. And like we mentioned, all these things we've been mentioning just shows, once again, that this team is primed and ready to make a run in the very competitive ECAC. Once they start their competitive games that actually matter, they're going to be able to show their true colors. And like I said, they're very primed and ready to get into this season, heading back into, like I said, in the ECAC championship game.
100%. If we see more of this from Quinnipiac going forward, beating up on these really, really good teams in this kind of fashion, then, again, this is just going to bode well for them going forward. 100%.
Yeah, and Boston College also played, they looked scared.
That was my point, exactly.
Yeah, they did not look like they were trying to come into the game to win. They were just trying to survive, not thrive in the game in Hamden and M&T Bank. Yeah, I totally agree. And, it's one of those things that you're going to be able to figure out very quickly what the team's strengths and weaknesses are, and we weren't able to honestly show that against Boston College because of how much they dominated them in this game on Friday.
100%.
Now, I was on the call for their game against New Hampshire, and it seems like they just had so much offensive pressure. Quinnipiac will have a home-and-home series against St. Anselm this Friday and Saturday. Before the regular season starts for the men's hockey team, they faced the University of Toronto and Providence College, where they won both games 4-2. After this past weekend, what is something that this Bobcats team needs to address ahead of their season opener at Boston College this Friday? Santino, we'll start with you.
All right. The answer to this question is 100% obvious. It's improving on the power play. Last season, I'm going to read this directly from my iPad, a 14.4% conversion percentage on the power play. For folks at home, that means for every 14 power plays, Quinnipiac converted 1 goal. 1. So in terms of what they need to improve on, they need not only to be able to convert on the power play more, they need more goal scorers on the power play because Ethan DeYoung is the only player on this team that can seem to convert on power plays. He's the only one last year, they're their main goal scorer, losing Wyatt Bongiovanni, who last year they played him in what's called the Ovechkin slot, where they would have Wyatt Bongiovanni, be in that position where he could have the opportunity to have some one-timer slap shots into the back of the net. Without having Bongiovanni there now, DeYoung is the only goal scorer they have. The power play is something they have to improve on if they want any chance at being not just successful, being a contender going into the Frozen Four later on this year.
Yeah, I was not going to lie. I kind of expected you to talk about a very obvious thing like the power play, but something that needs to improve for the team is just becoming more of a team and playing. Last year they lost 13 players, including, like you said, Wyatt Bongiovanni and Ty Smolodic, who transferred to Wisconsin this offseason. They have 8 first years, 3 new transfers, 7 graduate students, and 4 seniors. Rand Peckle, he talks all the time about creating this culture and being a part of a team and making sure that they're not relying on 1 or 2 players. It's always about the team. Buying into what he's teaching, that this team can go places with all these new faces that they've had so far. It could be a disadvantage in the future that they have 11 seniors and grad students, but it could be even a bigger advantage that the older guys are teaching the younger kids, like the first years that I mentioned, in the locker room to smoothly transition the culture from the Ethan DeYoungs, the Michael Lombardis, to the Matt Campbells and the Chase Clark down, who are first years as well. So it's one of those things that they just need to come together as a team and they've already been poised and top to go to the ECAC championship, like we said, like they ended up last year. But I think it's becoming, yes, like you said, power play is becoming a huge issue for the Bobcats. But I think it's something they should become working on off the ice more. I almost said field, excuse me. But in the locker room is going to be biggest important for them.
Listen, I know we have to wrap it up, but really, really quick. Again, you're saying it's the obvious choice, but it's a big deal. They need to be able to improve on the power play 100%. But yeah.
All the more reasons to watch the ranked 6th team in the nation as they travel to Boston College this Friday before returning home against LIU on Sunday. We'll take a quick breather here and make sure some friendships are still intact before coming back to highlight the game of the week, along with our final roars and thoughts here on Bobcat Breakdown.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihavepreddiabetes.org.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for our final roars, highlighting one athlete or topic that might not have gotten its proper recognition. Santino, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Seth. So the Quinnipiac women's soccer team is in the midst of an incredible season. They are currently 8-1-1 and are undefeated in MAAC play. Rebecca Cook is having a record-breaking season as she has scored 16 goals in just 10 games. Senior defenders Lauren Triglione and Olivia Scott have been key leaders on this team as they make countless hustle plays and do the dirty work that nobody else on this team wants to do. While the team is thriving right now, I want to look ahead to next season where the Bobcats will be losing 14 seniors and graduate students. That means there are some young players, maybe some first years, that will need to step up and take a leadership role heading into next year. One player I'm going to look at specifically is first-year midfielder Madison Alves. When she's on the field, she is one of those players that doesn't need to fill up the stat sheet to have an impact. She has a ton of upside, and from being around the team as a beat reporter, I've seen Alves already start to take a leadership role with the team. In the next few seasons, I think she'll be one of the keys to helping the Bobcats maintain their success in a very tough MAAC conference.
I think it would be safe to say that in order for a team to be successful, they need to have talent. The Golden State Warriors have Steph Curry, the Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and Manchester City has Erling Haaland. All those guys have torn up opponents with their incredible skill and playmaking ability. Behind all of those stars that I've just mentioned are guys who are willing and able to do the dirty work and not expect as much recognition. The same can be said about Quinnipiac women's soccer. Rebecca Cook has received conference awards that are too many for me to count on two hands, leading the NCAA in goals at 16. Don't get me wrong, Cook deserves all the recognition that comes her way. But the player on Dave Clark's squad that has not gotten much attention is senior captain Olivia Scott. Scott has played in all but 22 minutes this entire season, leading the Bobcats defense alongside Lauren Triglione and Sofia Lo-Spinoso. She has basically won any ball that has been in the air and in her direction, not allowing any opponent to let the ball get at their feet for even opportunity to score. The Bobcats have potential and skill to make it to this year's national tournament, but the team has not only to rely on their high-powered forwards that the team has, but also the hard-working players on the squad like Olivia Scott and many others.
Coming into the net after Corrine Schroeder's 2021-2022 season isn't easy. You might think this is going the direction of Logan Angers, but really it's Katie Boudiette. Last season, the junior goalie was Quinnipiac's third stringer only seeing the ice against St. Anselm. However, Boudiette has stepped up into a role, posting back-to-back shutouts against Maine with 26 saves and New Hampshire with 19, stepping up after receiving ECAC Goalie of the Week honor after Maine. She made it very challenging not to receive it again. While viewed as the backup to Angers, having Boudiette right behind can let head coach Cass Turner sleep well at night, knowing in case goalie 1 goes down. Well, that's all for tonight's show. As we wrap up tonight's program, be sure to stay connected with us online at Q30TV.com and on social media at Q30 Sports. For our producers and amazing technical staff, he's Connor Core and he's Santino Mayoni. I'm Seth Fromwitz. Good night.